When Olivia stepped off the battered city bus, she never imagined her next breath would lead straight into the heart of a secret powerful enough to destroy lives. Her sneakers scraped against the polished stone driveway of the Whitmore estate, where wealth whispered behind iron gates and sorrow clung to the shadows like smoke. She came for a job, nothing more. A simple nanny position for a child she'd never met in a house she could barely believe existed. But fate had already written a far darker story. Before she could even unpack her worn suitcase, a small boy with storm-gray eyes ran into her arms and called her one word that would unravel everything. Mom. Was it a mistake? A twisted coincidence? Or a past reaching out with desperate invisible hands? As the days unfolded inside those gilded walls, Olivia realized the Whitmore mansion was not a home. It was a battlefield dressed in velvet, hiding betrayals, so deep that even the dead seemed unwilling to stay silent. And she was standing right in the center of it. What if the greatest battles aren't fought with weapons, but with the truth you never wanted to uncover? Stay with me, because the story you're about to hear will leave you questioning everything you believe about family loyalty and love. In a city where skyscrapers kiss the sun and secrets pulsed behind wrought iron gates, Olivia Carter stepped off a battered bus, dragging behind her a suitcase with one broken wheel and a heart armored by too many disappointments. The luxury cars speeding past didn't even slow down. The towering glass facades barely reflected her existence. She clutched the frayed strap of her worn-out satchel tighter as she approached Whitmore Estate, a sprawling mansion hidden behind tall white walls, crowned with glinting spikes as if daring the world to even try and enter. Would this be her chance at a new life, or the beginning of a nightmare she hadn't yet imagined? Taking a breath that trembled more than she'd like to admit, Olivia pressed the intercom. A male voice, nasal and cold, answered with robotic formality. She gave her name. That was enough. The gates creaked open with the reluctance of an ancient beast. Every step she took along the stone path felt heavier. Perfectly trimmed trees lined her way, standing like silent sentinels. In the center of the grand driveway, an angel-shaped fountain wept silent tears into a marble basin. Why did everything here seem beautiful, yet broken? The front door opened before she could even knock. A tall butler with a face carved from stone motioned her inside without a word. Olivia swallowed the instinct to bolt. Inside, the mansion whispered of wealth and loneliness. Marble floors gleamed under massive chandeliers. Cold, abstract art hung where laughter should have lived. There was no music, no sense of home-cooked meals, only the hollow echoes of her footsteps. Standing by a floor-to-ceiling bookcase was a man whose very presence seemed to freeze the air. Nathan Whitmore, immaculate black suit, eyes that calculated rather than observed, a man who ruled through silence more than words. Their gazes locked. Olivia gave a small professional nod. Nathan offered nothing but a slight narrowing of the eyes. In that moment, Olivia understood this job was going to demand more than childcare skills. But what exactly was she stepping into? Before the heavy silence could shatter a sound, a whirlwind rushed into the room, a boy no older than 6 with wide brown eyes and a mess of curls. Ethan Whitmore. He looked at Olivia and stopped. Time paused, the very air holding its breath. And then with startling clarity, Ethan spoke one word. Mom. He didn't ask. He didn't hesitate. He declared it like a truth he'd always known. Shock cracked through the room like thunder. Olivia froze. Nathan tensed so sharply he seemed to shrink into himself. The butler, the unshakable statue, blinked as if he hadn't done so in years. What would you do if a child you'd never met looked straight into your soul and called you Mother? Olivia wanted to laugh, cry, maybe run. Instead, she knelt and offered Ethan a small smile. She saw it then, something old and wounded behind his bright eyes. Was it truly her he saw, or the ghost of someone he had lost? Nathan's voice, low and deliberate, sliced the moment. Come with me. No explanation, no apology, just an order. He led her into a vast study where dark wood and glass gleamed under soft lights. Without speaking, he pushed a heavy envelope across a mahogany desk. Inside was a contract. Olivia skimmed it and felt her blood run cold. The salary was absurd, almost offensive in its generosity. But one clause snagged her breath. The nanny will reside at the estate permanently. Duration, indefinite, indefinite, like a prisoner or a ghost. Why would a billionaire insist on locking someone inside his home forever? Nathan's voice interrupted her racing thoughts. I do not tolerate chaos, he said, pouring himself a glass of whiskey without offering her one. Olivia, heart hammering against her ribs, lifted her chin. Was this her chance to climb out of the gutter, or her first step into a beautifully gilded trap? She signed the contract. As her pen scratched across the thick paper, the wind outside howled against the towering walls of Whitmore Estate. Somewhere in the house, a piano key chimed, once low, mournful and unexplained. That night, Olivia couldn't sleep. The mansion breathed around her, a living, watching thing. Her room was beautiful, cold marble, thick ivory curtains, a bed big enough to swallow armies. But it felt wrong. Empty, as if it had been beautiful for someone long gone, and she was just a placeholder. At midnight, a sound sliced through the silence, a piano playing soft haunting. She rose barefoot, moving like a shadow through the vast halls. The music lured her to the north wing, a place they hadn't even shown her during the tour. Why, the door to the music room stood slightly ajar. Candlelight flickered within, and there under the soft glow was a black grand piano. The keys moved, but no one sat at the bench. Was she dreaming? Was it a trick of the mind? Olivia stepped closer, hypnotized. She reached out, hand trembling, to touch a key. The music stopped. A gust of cold air whooshed past her. Curtains fluttered violently, though the windows were sealed shut. Behind her, a voice spoke sharply. That room is not to be entered. Miss Carter. The butler standing rigid in the doorway. His voice was calm, but in his eyes something ancient, something afraid. What secrets was this house still hiding? And why did she feel as if she had just stepped straight into someone else's unfinished story? I'm truly sorry to interrupt this gripping moment, but we need to pause here. Before we continue, tell me, if you were in Olivia's shoes, would you have signed that mysterious contract? Why or why not? What do you think is the real reason behind the eerie events at Whitmore Estate? Also, where are you watching from today? I'd love to know. If you're enjoying the story so far, please leave a heart and like the video to support our journey. Your support means everything. The next morning, Olivia awoke to sunlight struggling to seep through the heavy curtains. She hadn't slept much. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard that ghostly piano or felt the cold air whip past her skin. Was she imagining it all, or had she truly stumbled into a place where the past refused to stay buried? Downstairs, the mansion moved like a mechanical clock. Silent servants gliding through hallways, the scent of fresh coffee wafting through sterile, cavernous rooms. Yet underneath that orderliness, something buzzed, an invisible current waiting to snap. At breakfast, Ethan beamed at her as if nothing had happened, as if calling a stranger Mom was the most natural thing in the world. Olivia smiled back, her heart tugging painfully. How much had this boy already lost as she helped him with his cereal? Nathan entered the room. His arrival sucked the air from it like a vacuum. He wore another immaculate suit, but there were shadows under his eyes now, dark hollows that hadn't been there yesterday. Their gazes met across the marble counter. For a moment, neither spoke. What was he thinking? Was he regretting hiring her? Or was he regretting something deeper, something older? Before anyone could break the tension, a commotion echoed from the front entrance. Tires screeched outside. Doors slammed. Olivia turned, sensing that whatever peace they had was about to be shattered. And she was right. In stormed a woman, elegant, blonde, and lethal in every step she took. Her heels clicked on the marble like a ticking clock, counting down to disaster. Rebecca Whitmore, Nathan's late wife's cousin or so. The family claimed, dressed head to toe in designer clothes and hiding venom behind oversized sunglasses, she swept into the room like a storm front. Well, well, Rebecca purred, peeling off her sunglasses with an exaggerated flick. So this is the new nanny? Her voice dripped with mockery. Olivia stood her ground. She'd faced worse than rich women with too much perfume and too many secrets. Rebecca circled her like a shark. So young, so fresh, she said with a smile that didn't touch her eyes. Then she knelt down, fake affection coating every movement, and brushed Ethan's curls with manicured fingers. You know, she murmured loud enough for Olivia to hear, Kids his age confuse missing mothers with replacements. The words were an arrow aimed straight at Olivia's heart. How would you react if a stranger tried to erase you from a child's life before you'd even begun? Nathan didn't intervene. He simply watched, his expression unreadable. But Olivia caught a flicker, an anger so tightly leashed it trembled beneath the surface. The day unfolded under Rebecca's shadow. She prowled the house, inspecting rooms she had no business entering, touching heirlooms with possessive fingers. She oozed ownership, as if the estate, the family, even Ethan himself were hers by right. But why was she really here? And why did Olivia feel deep in her gut that Rebecca's arrival was no accident? That evening, Nathan summoned Olivia to his study. No butlers, no witnesses. He poured himself a drink and for once offered her one too. She refused, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down. Rebecca has attachments to this family, Nathan said carefully, turning the glass in his hand. Old loyalties, old debts. Olivia said nothing. What could she say that she didn't trust Rebecca any more than she trusted haunted pianos and contracts with indefinite terms? Nathan's gaze pinned her to the spot. You're different, he said quietly. You don't pretend. Was that a compliment or a warning? Just then a soft knock broke the tension. It was the butler, pale as the marble he walked upon. He handed Nathan a small envelope sealed in blood-red wax. Nathan's face hardened as he read it. Without a word, he slid it across the desk to Olivia. Inside was a single photograph. It was of Ethan as a baby, held in the arms of a woman who was not Nathan's late wife. A woman who looked heartbreakingly familiar. Olivia stared at the photo, blood draining from her face. Why did the woman look so much like her? Nathan's voice was almost a whisper. Do you have anything to tell me, Miss Carter? She shook her head, too stunned to speak. Had she stumbled into something far bigger than a simple job offer? The walls of Whitmore Estate seemed to close in around her. Somewhere deep within the house, the ghostly piano played two sorrowful notes before fading back into silence. I'm so sorry to have to pause the story here, especially when things are heating up so much. Before we continue, tell me, what do you think the real connection is between Olivia and Ethan? Was it pure fate or something far more sinister? If you found yourself living inside a house filled with so many secrets, would you stay and uncover the truth or run and never look back? Also, I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. Please leave a heart and like this video if you're feeling as intrigued as I am to uncover what happens next. Your support keeps our stories alive. The photograph burned in Olivia's hand long after she left Nathan's study. In the dimly lit corridors of the Whitmore estate, everything suddenly felt foreign, unfamiliar, dangerous. Was it possible? Could bloodlines, mistakes, and forgotten promises have led her straight to this place, to this boy who had called her mom without hesitation? Or was she merely chasing ghosts that were never hers to claim? Sleep was impossible that night. Every creak of the ancient floors sounded like a warning. Every gust of wind tapping against the window seemed to whisper, "Leave while you still can." But how could she leave now, especially after Ethan, in his innocence, had chosen her heart before she even knew she had one to offer? At dawn, Nathan requested a meeting. They sat across from each other in the glass conservatory, the gray morning pressing in like a storm barely held at bay. He placed the photo on the table between them. There's a lot you don't know, Nathan said quietly. His voice strained. About Ethan, about my late wife, about why you're really here. Olivia's heart hammered. Then tell me. He looked at her, and for the first time since she'd arrived, his armor cracked. My wife. She couldn't have children. We tried for years. And when she found Ethan abandoned at a church's doorstep, she didn't ask questions. She just loved him. His voice broke. She made me promise to love him the same way. And did you? Olivia whispered. Nathan didn't answer with words. He didn't have to. The raw pain in his eyes told her everything. But there's something more, isn't there? Olivia pressed gently. Something you're not saying. Nathan hesitated. Rebecca, he finally admitted, knows the truth, and she's been using it to control everything to stay tethered to this family. She believes she deserves it all. And me, Olivia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Where do I fit into this? Nathan leaned back, exhausted. Maybe you were the one thing we didn't plan for. Maybe you were the miracle we didn't deserve. Before Olivia could respond, a loud knock shook the front doors. Rebecca burst into the room moments later, her face flushed with fury. "So," she sneered, "you finally told her." She slammed a stack of papers on the table. Custody threats, legal claims, accusations she had been hoarding like weapons. "You think you can replace me with this nobody?" Rebecca spat, her voice sharp enough to cut marble. The room turned cold. Nathan stood slowly, a terrifying calm washing over him. "You're wrong, Rebecca," he said. "No one's replacing anyone. Olivia is staying because she belongs here. And you're the ghost. We're finally letting go." Rebecca's face contorted, her schemes collapsing in a silent, invisible implosion. Without another word, she turned and stalked out of the house, the front door slamming behind her like a final nail sealing the past. For a long moment, neither Nathan nor Olivia moved. Was it truly over? Could it ever really be over when so many wounds had been left to fester for so long? Hours later, Olivia found Ethan in the garden, chasing butterflies with the same easy laughter that once filled the empty halls of the mansion. He saw her, and without hesitation, he ran straight into her arms. "You're not going to leave, right?" he asked, his voice trembling. Olivia knelt down, cradling his face between her hands. "Never." She promised, the word sealing itself into her bones. That evening, as the sun dipped low and bathed the estate in molten gold, Nathan joined them in the garden. There were no grand speeches, no flowery declarations, just three broken people who, against all odds, had found a way to fit together. Was it fate, destiny, or just the stubborn refusal to give up on something that felt too real to ignore? The house, once heavy with grief, seemed to breathe easier. The piano in the north wing stayed silent, but somehow its silence no longer felt mournful. It felt peaceful. Free, because sometimes healing doesn't come from uncovering every secret. Sometimes it comes simply from choosing to stay. I'm truly sorry to interrupt such an emotional moment, but we'll have to pause the story here. Before you go, I'd love to ask you, if you had been Olivia, would you have risked staying after discovering so many painful secrets, or would you have run from a destiny you never asked for? What do you think Rebecca's fate will be now that her grip on the family is broken? Will she disappear or plot her revenge from the shadows? Also tell me, are you watching this story from the United States, Europe, or somewhere else? I'd love to know where our amazing community is tuning in from. If this story touched your heart, please leave a like, tap the heart, and don't forget to share the video so more people can experience this journey with us. And tell me in the comments, comment no 3 if you love this story, comment no 1 if you weren't satisfied, comment no 2 if you thought it was just okay. Your feedback means the world to me and helps make every story even better for you.